this is not breaking news. This is not a scandal. This is not about one person. This is about something far more dangerous, something so embedded within the system, you might not even notice it until it's too late. It's quiet, it's subtle, and it's already happening right under your nose. We're talking about a fracture in the very foundation of American power, a systemic failure that, if left unchecked, could alter the course of history. It's the kind of failure that doesn't announce itself loudly. It doesn't make headlines. But it's the kind of failure that defines how power will function in America for decades to come. What's happening right now in Washington isn't just a clash between two parties. It's not about personalities or individual battles. This is about a moment in time where something much bigger is at stake. The balance of power is shifting. The question is, will it hold? Let's dive in. At the heart of the current crisis in Washington, there's one key truth that cannot be ignored. The system has changed. What used to be the shared responsibility of Congress, the courts, and the executive has now been warped. The power to control the nation's actions no longer resides solely in the hands of the people's representatives. It has been shifted, concentrated, even into one office, one person. This isn't about party lines anymore. It's not about red versus blue, Democrat versus Republican. It's about something much bigger, something that transcends politics. The rise of unchecked executive power. It's a shift that didn't happen overnight. It didn't arrive with a single loud event. It crept in silently until now. Today, a sitting president is using emergency powers, using threats of military action against allies, with no regard for legal constraints. The machinery of government isn't just malfunctioning, it's being deliberately rerouted. And right now, Republicans in Washington are making a choice that they've avoided for years. They're pushing back, quietly, carefully, and on the most dangerous issue of all war powers. But their decision to resist isn't because they suddenly disagree with everything the president stands for. It's because they understand the most dangerous part of all. When power stops being checked, it becomes personal. And when power is personal, there are no limits. Now, let's break it down. Look closely at the long-term change that's happened right before our eyes. A shift that's been normalizing itself for years now. You may not have noticed it at first, few people did, but what was once considered unthinkable is now quietly becoming business as usual. Think back to before. A president might challenge Congress, push the boundaries of executive power, but there were limits. The system, despite its flaws, had guardrails in place. There were checks. There were balances. Even the most powerful leader had to contend with the law. But today, those checks are eroding, slowly, quietly. The idea of a president treating military action as a negotiation tool, talking about war with allies as if it were a real estate deal that used to be out of the question. Now, it's a topic of conversation. It's a whisper in the halls of power, and some are beginning to believe it might become reality. This slow erosion, this gradual bending of norms, is exactly what makes it so dangerous. When change happens too fast, you notice, you can react. But when it happens bit by bit, it's easy to dismiss until one day you realize that the very foundations have been cracked. And that shift, it's not just going to affect the next few months, it will define the future. Here's where the rubber meets the road. A concrete shock that shook Washington to its core. This wasn't just a debate. This wasn't just another partisan clash. This was the moment when something deeply unsettling was revealed. President Trump, publicly and repeatedly, floated the idea of using military force to acquire Greenland, a territory that belongs to Denmark, a NATO ally. Yes, you heard that right. Military action on the table for a land acquisition. On the surface, it sounds absurd, like a bizarre afterthought. But it's not a joke. It's real. And when a sitting president makes such threats against a NATO ally, an attack on Denmark would be an attack on all NATO members, triggering Article 5. It sends shockwaves through the global political landscape. Republican senators knew this wasn't just a political debate. This wasn't a policy disagreement. This was an existential threat to the alliances, to the very stability of international relationships. And in that moment, they had to ask themselves, what happens if this goes too far? What happens if these words are more than just rhetoric? But here's the problem. Those are not questions that have easy answers. And the fact that they even need to be asked is a crisis in itself. What we're witnessing is not just a political crisis, it's a breakdown in the very machinery that governs how power operates in the United States. You see, the system doesn't just work by laws and treaties. It works by people. And those people, whether in the White House, Congress, or the military, understand one thing above all else: who benefits and who suffers. In this case, the ones benefiting are the few at the top, the ones who have the power to dictate the terms of foreign policy, to declare emergencies, to redefine what is and isn't acceptable in terms of military action. And the ones who suffer? The rest of us. Ordinary citizens, the global community, even the political establishment itself. This isn't just about policy. This is about power and how it's been weaponized. When emergency powers are used not for true crises, but for political advantage, it's no longer about protecting national security. It's about keeping the machinery of government running in a way that serves a single person and a single agenda. And the worst part? When you make power personal, it stops being about the nation's interests. It becomes about maintaining control by any means necessary. And just when you thought it couldn't get worse, it does. Another emergency is declared, another crisis manufactured, another narrative shifted. This time, it's about Venezuelan oil, a national emergency aimed at securing resources. But look closer. The timeline for benefiting from these oil assets? Years, maybe decades. The infrastructure required? Massive. The immediate winners? Multinational energy corporations, not American consumers. So why declare an emergency now? Why escalate the stakes? It's not about the oil. It's about power. It's about concentration. Every time scrutiny builds, every time the system starts to look closer at what's really happening, a new crisis emerges. Another emergency to shift the conversation. Another situation where oversight looks like obstruction and the administration's failures get buried beneath an avalanche of urgency. This is no accident. This is a pattern. When everything is an emergency, nothing gets examined. Nothing gets held to account. The machinery of government, diverted, distracted, and under constant pressure to react. The question is, what happens when the system can't respond anymore? This isn't just about politics. It's not about Washington, D.C. or the corridors of power. This is about you. You who wake up every day to a world shaped by the decisions made in places you can't see. You who feel the ripple effects when those in charge make choices that seem far removed from your life. When a president threatens military action, it's not just a strategic move. It's not just a headline. It's a promise made to the men and women in uniform, the ones who get deployed, the ones who don't always come home. It's about families who wait in uncertainty, not knowing if their loved ones will return from the front lines. When trade deals falter, when alliances fray, it's your job that feels it. Factories close, supply chains break, jobs disappear. People who worked hard to build a life see it slipping away. And when trust erodes between nations, when allies start questioning the reliability of American leadership, it's your security that's at risk. It's your future that becomes uncertain. This is real. This is not abstract. It's not just the headlines. It's the world you live in, the one that gets shaped by the decisions of people who see the machinery of war as just another tool for negotiation. The question is, how long can this last? And how much longer can you wait to see if anyone steps in to stop it? What happens in Washington doesn't stay in Washington. In fact, what's happening right now is already spilling over. It's no longer just a local issue, it's a global one. The ripple effects of these decisions are being felt all around the world in ways both visible and hidden. When an American president makes threats against NATO allies, when military action becomes a real, not hypothetical option, the world takes notice. Allies start rethinking their position, adversaries begin recalculating their strategy, and neutral countries, they start picking sides. The global balance of power begins to shift, not in the halls of international diplomacy, but in the everyday decisions of governments around the world. Trade deals are reconsidered. military strategies recalibrated, alliances that were once ironclad now look more fragile. And it's not just the geopolitical landscape that's shifting. Economic markets are unpredictable in times of uncertainty. Investors pull back. Businesses hesitate. The global economy starts to feel the strain as trust in American leadership weakens, and the stability that allowed global markets to thrive begins to erode. This isn't just about power in Washington anymore. This is about America's place in the world. And right now, that place is becoming more uncertain with every new threat, every new emergency, every new declaration. The question is, how long can this go on before the global consequences are irreversible? Now, we're at a crossroads. The question isn't just about what's happening today. It's about what happens next. What does the future hold as this tension continues to build? There are three paths ahead, three possible futures, and none of them are certain. But each one could change the trajectory of the nation in profound ways. First, asterisk, asterisk, adjustment, asterisk, asterisk. It's possible that the system adapts. The machinery of government begins to realign. Oversight strengthens. The War Powers Resolution passes, Congress reasserts its authority, and the executive branch is once again held to the constraints it was meant to operate within. In this scenario, the institutions hold, the damage is contained, and the country slowly returns to a more stable equilibrium. But even here, the scars remain. The shift toward unchecked power will never fully disappear. Second, asterisk, asterisk, erosion, asterisk, asterisk. This is the slow burn. It's the path where things don't snap, but they wear down. The system bends, but doesn't break. The pressure of emergency powers continues to grow. The war rhetoric escalates. Congressional resistance fades. The balance of power tilts further toward the executive, and the guardrails that were once in place become mere suggestions, with each new president feeling more empowered to push the limits even further. Finally, asterisk, asterisk, rupture, asterisk, asterisk, the most dangerous of all. If the system can no longer contain this power grab, we could face a complete rupture. The Constitution could be undermined beyond repair. A president who believes power is personal, who treats it as a tool for their own purposes, could render the very idea of checks and balances meaningless. The nation would be left at the mercy of whoever holds the office without the protection of the framework that's meant to hold them accountable. Which path will we take? We don't know yet. But the direction we're heading in is becoming clearer with each passing day. There's no comforting conclusion here, no easy resolution. This moment we're in, the one where the system is being tested, is not something that will resolve neatly. It won't be fixed with a single vote or a single speech or a single decision. It's too big for that. But what's happening right now in Washington, what's unfolding before our eyes, will have lasting consequences. The choices made today will echo through the years. Whether the system holds or breaks will depend on how far those in power are willing to push and how far they think they can go before something finally gives. The emergency powers, the war threats, the loyalty tests, they are symptoms of a much larger issue. A president who believes that power is personal and the system should bend to him. And the question now is simple. Can the system bend or will it break? I'm not going to predict the future, but I can tell you this. What happens next matters. It matters for the future of American democracy. It matters for the future of international relations. And it matters for you. Keep watching, keep paying attention, because the choices we make now will define the future. If this analysis helped you understand what's at stake, consider subscribing. I'll keep breaking down these critical developments with no spin, no hype, just honest, in-depth analysis. Do you think the revolt against Trump will hold, or will loyalty win out in the end? Let me know your thoughts in the comments, and thanks for watching. I'll see you in the next one.